Hi students, myself Payal Christy and you can subscribe my channel on YouTube. Let's begin the first poem of Standard 11th Commerce, a photograph from the Hornbill book, and it is written by Shirley Tolson. Let's have a quick summary of this poem. The poem is divided into 3 stages. In the first stage, the poet's mother is standing at the beach and enjoying her holiday with her 2 girl cousins. And her cousins' name is Dolly and Betty. Now here the poet's mother was 12 years old, and in the second stage, about 20 to 30 years later, the poet describes her mother laughing at her 2 cousins dressed up for the beach holiday. In the third stage, the poet remembers her mother with a heavy heart. Heavy heart means with a very sad heart. Here, the nostalgic feelings of the poet are seen. Now, nostalgic means homesickness, or the poet wants to return to the past. Now, this is a short summary of the poem. Now, let's see the poem. Let's see the first stage. The cardboard shows me how it was when the 2 girl cousins went paddling, each one holding one of my mother's hand, and she, the big girl, some 12 years or so. All 3 stood still to smile through their hair at the uncle with the camera. A sweet face, my mother's that was before I was born. And the sea, which appears to have changed less, washed their terribly transient feet. So in the first stage, the poet is looking at her mother's photograph, and we know that photographs are taken to recall our past memories. The poet and her 2 girl cousins, Dolly and Betty, are seen standing on the beach. The 2 cousins are holding the poet's mother's hand, and the age of the poet's mother at that time was 12 years old. All the 3 girls were smiling, and the photograph was taken by her uncle. Their hair had fallen on their face. Now they have fallen on the face because, as we know, that there is lot of breeze in the sea, and the breeze had blown the hair. They were smiling at their uncle, as I told, who was clicking their photo. The sea was washing their transient feet. Here, transient means temporary feet. But now, as the poet recalls the past, remembers the past, she realizes that the sea has changed a little, and those whose feet were being washed have undergone a great change. Second stage, some 20-30 years later, she had laughed at the snapshot. "See Betty and Dolly," she had said, "and look how they dressed up for the beach. The sea holiday was her past, mine is her laughter. Both vie with the labored ease of loss." In the second stage, the poet talks about the present. After 20 or 30 years, when the photograph had been snapped, the mother looks at the photograph again, only to realize that time has changed everything. She must be in her 30s or 40s when she was looking at this photograph. She laughs and points out the dress which the girls were wearing, means Dolly and Betty, her cousin sisters, were wearing. The manner in which they were dressed for the beach. She now becomes nostalgic. Nostalgic means homesick, or the other meaning we can say wants to return to the past. She then consoles herself and feels that this was the thing of the past, and we know that the past is not going to come back. The sweet joys of her childhood days are no more, as we know that childhood days are the most joyful days in our life, and once they are past, they are not going to come back in our life. Now let's see the third stanza. Now she has been dead nearly as many years as that girl lived, and of this circumstance there is nothing to say at all. Its silences. Things have now changed, and the poet remembers the laughter of her mother. Her mother is no more. No more means the poet's mother is dead. But her laughter lingers on. Lingers means it is impossible to forget, or it remains in our memory. Though the sea holidays belong to the past, what belongs to her in the present time are the sweet memories of her mother's laughter. She longs for the happiness of her mother's company. Nevertheless, she has now learned to adjust with the loss of the joys of her mother's company. Now still she is remembering her mother, and she wants her mother to come back so that at least she can receive her mother's company back. Now the last stanza. In the third stage, the poet misses her mother now that she is no more. As I told you before also, that the poet's mother was dead. She is surrounded with nothing but emptiness. Now her life is totally empty without her mother. We know that a child who doesn't have his or her mother, his life is totally empty. The silence of the situation has silenced her. The situation is silent. Why? Because the poet's mother is dead, and that has silenced her. Means she has also become very silent in her life because of the loss of her mother, and she wants her mother to come back, but we know that that is not possible. So dear students, here the poem presents the poet as a sensitive person who is very much affectionate towards her mother and is deeply attached to her. She loves her sweet face and notes the changes in it as she advances in the age. She remembers all the incidents connected with her life, including her laughter on looking at that photograph. She finds it hard to bear her death, and the loss of separation has totally stunned the poet, and she has become speechless. So dear students, here our poem number 1 gets over. Thanks for watching the video. Stay home, stay safe, and have a nice day.